college application tips. I know that if you are watching this video, then you and your student are in the thick of things when it comes to applying for colleges. And the thing is, they are receiving thousands and thousands of applications. So what I want to do is provide you and your student with 5 tips that can help your student stand out with college applications. I hope that these are helpful. Now make sure you hit subscribe because every single week we release a new strategy that can help your student work towards a debt-free degree. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System and Debt-Free Degree Lab, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones buried in student loan debt. Now you might be thinking, well, college application process, how does that have to do with, or what does that have to do with paying for college? And the truth is that the stronger the application, the more likely we are to get money from the college. So we really want to not only try to get in, but we want to sell ourselves so that they are inclined to give us money. So let's go ahead and dive in. Filling out the admissions applications, after admissions applications, after admissions applications, I feel like students are doing dozens of them these days. It can be a stressful time and it can be pretty daunting. I think we also can often make little mistakes just because we have seen so many applications. So even as a parent, if you're reviewing your students, you might have seen the same essay with little tweaks among 10 different universities. So it's easy to miss out on things. So I really want to point out some specific areas that are critical for this process. So the first one goes perfectly with what I just said, and that is to proofread. So when your student is ready to submit that application, I am sure they will tell you that they proofread, that they double checked everything, but you should always take a check behind them. So you can have your spouse, your partner look as well, maybe another teacher or professor, and then yourself, you can look. But I would say in addition to your student, at least one extra set of eyes, if not 2 extra set of eyes when it comes to proofreading the application. We want to make sure that it is void of any kind of grammatical spelling errors. I know that sounds simple, but you would be amazed at what we see, especially with commas or run-on sentences. A quick tip with this actually is to just run everything through a website that we love. It's called Grammarly. Grammarly has a free component. It also has a paid component, but the free one is really an awesome tool. So I always recommend running it through that tool if there have been any tweaks, even if it's an essay we've already used 10 times. Also with proofreading, we want to make sure our students' personal information is correct. Their name, their social security number, their address. I know that sounds silly, but you would be amazed at how easy it is to mistype something when we've been typing the same thing over and over and over. And the third part to proofreading really is an easy slip up, but it is detrimental. And that is making sure that the correct school name, college, or institution is written in any kind of essays, recommendation letters, cover letters, anything that needs to be submitted. So I have shared this story before, but actually I'm guilty of this. I was job hunting and accidentally sent a cover letter to a hiring manager, and it had a different company's name in it. Safe to say, they emailed me back very kindly, but rejected me immediately. We do not want this mistake. So proofread for your students. Again, they should be doing it as well, but you always want at least 1 or 2 extra sets of eyes. The second tip when it comes to college applications is to choose your recommender wisely. Help your student brainstorm some people that can write a great recommendation letter for them. In fact, I have an entire video all about recommendation letters. So we will link to that in the description below, or it might be popping up somewhere on the screen. But when it comes to recommendation letters, we want to try to find a diverse group. We don't want it to be our football coach and the assistant football coach. Instead, we might want a coach and a teacher and an employer. So something that gives a rounded view of our student, not the same perspective because we only asked one side of us to write a recommendation letter. The third tip is to be aware of deadlines. Make sure your student does not wait until last minute to apply. I will tell you, believe it or not, I actually waited until last minute to apply and it was so stressful. We do not want to do that. That also opens up the opportunities for errors in the previous 2 ways. We also don't want to be late submitting anything. A lot of times that means that they won't even be considered, or if they are willing to extend an exception because they're late, it still kind of leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the person who's receiving it. So we do not want to run the risk of being late on anything. Remember what I said. There are literally thousands of students applying that probably got their materials submitted on time. So you do not want your student to be the one that doesn't. Now, deadlines are not only just for the actual application itself for admissions, but it could be for materials that are required for it. For example, transcripts, SAT, ACT test scores, FAFSA. Different universities have different deadlines for FAFSA, maybe guidance counselor, anything that they have to send in. So we want to make sure that the guidance office, whatever deadlines they have in order to get the materials to the university, that we are meeting those. For example, oftentimes they want a week or 2 weeks notice whenever they have to send transcripts or have to write a recommendation letter. So again, the deadline for the admissions application is not the only deadline here. Okay, the fourth tip is one that you'll hear a lot, but I'm going to give a little bit of a spin on it. And that is to have a variety of activities. Now, my spin on this is that it is better to have quality over quantity. I think a lot of parents, when they hear, oh, we need a variety, they think that their student has to be involved in tons of different things. That's not the truth. If your student can be involved in a few things deeply and actually have a wide arrangement of experiences within those few activities, that will be way more competitive than them being a seat warmer in 16 clubs. So we want a variety, but we also want to be careful that our student isn't just being a seat warmer, but actually able to be involved. And the way to do that is by picking a few and going deeply involved in those. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, my student's not really involved in anything, try to have them choose something they're passionate about. And maybe they can really start to pursue that until it is time to apply. So another thing that you could do is actually help them brainstorm things they have done. So maybe they have done things, but you didn't realize that they would count. So maybe it just takes some brainstorming, some help from mom and dad or whoever the guardian is in order to get their wheels turning. So you might be surprised at what comes up if you can sit down and help them. Okay, let's get to the fifth and final tip, and that is to be authentic. You want your student to really show who they are. They don't want to use cliche things like I'm hardworking. We see that all the time. Instead, try to help them understand who they truly are. I know this is difficult because they're still figuring it out. But what's important to them now? What values can they relate to? What values are they instilling in their day-to-day activities or in their involvements? Or what values do they plan to pursue through the career path that they're choosing? So these kind of discussions can really help your student whenever a parent is involved. A lot of times it takes someone outside to really point out some things here. Now, this tip actually goes into applying to scholarships as well. A lot of times we recommend writing a values-based essay. And if you're curious about scholarships, actually I should say, as you are going through the admissions process, you and your student need to be curious about scholarships. And therefore, I wanted to invite you to my free training where I cover my 6 steps to securing scholarships for college. So if you're in the thick of things in admissions, you need to be in the thick of things of scholarships. So you can sign up for the free training at thescholarshipsystem.com/free webinar, or you can click on the link in the description and register there. But that free training will show you exactly where to find those scholarships that can be used to pay for, hopefully, this admissions yes letter that your student will receive. Now, going back to being authentic, again, this is important not just in admissions essays. So if your student can perfect this for admissions, they can also use this for scholarships. But comment below, what is something that is unique about your student that they can write about? What is something that you think? Take a moment just to brainstorm yourself, and maybe you'll come up with something that they didn't even think of. Now, going off of this, being authentic also might mean that they want to be a little bit spunky, a little bit fun, tell a story in their essay, and that is okay as long as we're keeping it professional. In fact, that is way less boring than the standard, I want to go to this college because ... Being a little creative is a great characteristic when it comes to getting into colleges and receiving scholarships. So you can totally okay that with your student. Again, we do want to still make sure that it's professional, of course. Now, lastly, with being authentic for your student, it will be conveying their passion. Again, I know that they're trying to figure this out. I know that they are young and they're uncertain, but try to have them pick something that they can say, you know what, I'm not 100% sure, but right now I'm thinking about pursuing this because this part of it is so fascinating to me. So they can own that they're not locked in on that, but that right now this is something that I think I'm going to be passionate about. So that is extremely helpful for those that are undecided or maybe stuck between a few different options. But no matter what, showing that passion is always helpful for being authentic. All right, so there you have it. Those are 5 quick tips to help your student make a more competitive admissions application so that they can hopefully get into the college of their choice, or at least into a few colleges if they're applying to multiple. But the thing here is that there are no do-overs. This application process, it is one and done, unless they want to transfer or postpone, take a gap year, but you know what I mean. It is very important to put our best foot forward right from the get-go. So share these tips with your student, take them with yourself, and see how you can help them really improve that application, and let me know how it goes. Don't forget to hit subscribe because every week we're releasing a new strategy on paying for college, and I will see you in the next video.